So here it is, the new Razer Blade 16, with a new, slimmer, redesigned chassis, packing in up to an RTX 5090 graphics card, and finally coming in with an AMD CPU. Throw in a fast, beautiful OLED display, and you get a mobile powerhouse capable of some serious gaming on the go, so let's go. Hi, this is David at Mash IT, and here we are with another gaming laptop review, the 2025 Razer Blade 16. So the model we're reviewing today is the RTX 5090 model with the Ryzen AI 9 HX370 CPU, 32GB of 8000MHz RAM, a 2TB SSD, and that stunning 240Hz 16-inch OLED display. Now this comes in at an eye-watering £3,899 in the UK. But Razer do also offer plenty of other cheaper configurations. Now at the moment it starts at the RTX 5070 Ti, or you can choose the 5080, but I believe there's going to be a 5060 and 5070 later on down the line. Now if you buy anything but the 5090, you do get the AI 9 365 CPU to go with it. And just something else to quickly point out with these new Ryzen AI processors is that the RAM is soldered on with this actual laptop, but the good news is they all have at least 32GB of RAM, but you could choose the high end with 64GB. So let's take a look at this newly designed Razer Blade 16. Now I was using a 2023 Razer Blade 16 and it didn't feel that chunky until I got this new model. And you can see straight away, it is really slim in comparison. When I first picked out this new Razer Blade 16, it felt very much like my older Razer Blade 15, which was also quite slim. So Razer have done a great job here with this new slim design. You do get the slightly raised cooling chamber underneath, which does lift the laptop out slightly and allow for decent sized fan still. But overall, when you're carrying this laptop around, it feels incredible, much more like a laptop you want to take everywhere with you than a chunky gaming laptop you literally leave at home to do your gaming on. Now with that said, to make this so slim and light, this isn't the most powerful RTX 5090 laptop, gaming laptop that you can get out there. They did have to make some sacrifices to get this slim. But personally, I think this is a good trade-off so far from my testing, for an everyday laptop that you can game on, content creation and content consumption. So let's take a look around. And as usual, with these all aluminium, amazing build quality Razer blades, it is a fingerprint magnet. And I am forever cleaning this laptop off. So you might want to do with my 2023 model, pop an actual skin on there, get rid of those fingerprints entirely. But when it is cleaned off, it looks fantastic. And as usual with regards to the ports, we've got the same ports pretty much as the 2023 and 2024 model. You get your usual Razer power jack socket. There's two USB-A ports on this side, along with a USB 4 because this is a Ryzer model, so you don't get Thunderbolt. Then we get the headset jack. And as I move to the other side, we get the Kensington lock, an HDMI 2.1, another USB-A port, another USB 4 port, and a full-size SD card slot. So for me personally, who actually works and games on a laptop, that is a great selection of ports. I do still love having that full-size SD card slot. With regards to the weight, let's just quickly grab my scales. So you're talking just over 2.1 kilograms for the laptop itself. Considering the power it's packing, that's really not bad. Then we have the 280 watt power supply they provide with this model. Being an efficient Ryzen CPU, they've actually been able to drop that down from the 330 I had in my old 2023 model. Now that takes the weight up to 2.8 kilograms in your bag. Still not bad. Most gaming laptops come in at about 2.8 plus, so it is quite a light model to carry around with you. With regard to the power supply, obviously it's a GAN charger. It's the usual Razer style with a Razer tip, so other Razer adapters will fit in this model and vice versa. But what they have changed now very slightly is the actual cable. Gone is the braided cable and we just get a nice and flexible cable. And personally, I don't mind that because as good as the braided cable looked when you bought it, did sort of fray a little bit over time where it got heavily used and it was quite stiff to manipulate. So this is an actual better solution personally. Right, so now we've looked at the ports and the outside, let's just open it up. So opening up the laptop, you can see you have the usual sort of full milled aluminium chassis. So we get the normal, again, fingerprint palm rests. So you will be cleaning that off regularly. And a decent sized touchpad that is glass, feels incredible. And as we move up to the keyboard, we do get more key travel this year. Now, I know some people have said, oh, they didn't really notice much different, but having used a lot of Razer keyboards or Razer laptop keyboards in the past and typing on this one, it feels a lot better when you are typing on the laptop. So if you do a lot of typing on the laptop, you will appreciate that. They've also now added dual zone lighting. So when you press the function key down now, it will just light all of your backlit zones. So for all the hotkeys, so you can see we've got your R, your T, your B, your P, for all the different function keys you're going to be using. Also, the keyboard now has some dedicated buttons over on the right hand side. Mute your microphones, very useful if you're doing a lot of team, sort of Discord, TeamSpeak. The actual profile switch I really like. So without having to go into Synapse or press the function and P, you can now just hit this button and change your actual Synapse profile. Now, as usual with regards to the actual RGB backlighting, it is incredible, as always is the case with Razer Blade, with a lot of stages of brightness. So no problems seeing your backlit keys, no matter how bright or dull you want them. So no problems there with the keyboard. I absolutely love this Razer Blade keyboard, big step up from my previous Razer Blades. And then either side of the keyboard, you can see we've got the speaker grills for the speaker system, which sounds like this. Audio test of the 2025 Razer Blade 16, starting at 50% speaker volume. And now at 80%. And finally, 100% volume. So there we go. Very full sound, not the loudest speakers in a laptop, but this is a very slim chassis, but I think you'll be quite impressed with the actual audio performance. So as we move up to the display, we get that beautiful 2560 by 1600 16-inch bright OLED 240Hz display. It is also G-Sync capable, so if you switch it to the NVIDIA mode within the Advanced Optimus, you can then enable G-Sync on this display, and that is a great feature which I know a lot of people do like if you're gaming on this laptop screen. And let's be honest, if you've got a screen like this, you're going to want to game on it. It is absolutely fluid, it's incredible response times, and it's just an absolutely fantastic display. It is pretty bright now, which is great, and it does have a little bit of PWM flickering, but they have improved the speed of that. So whereas I used to get headaches with older PWM displays, I've had no problems with this one or the actual Lenovo we've tested recently. Moving up above the actual screen, you can see we've got the webcam, which looks and sounds like this. And this is a test of the webcam and the microphones on the new 2025 Razer Blade 16. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of the quality of the picture and the sound. And it does also include Windows Hello facial recognition, so it scans your face and logs you straight in every time. A great way of logging into your laptop and probably my favourite way with Windows machines. But this year there is no sort of camera lock that you had on the 2023 model, so you always have that camera enabled. Okay, so let's crack this laptop open and take a look at the internals. Now, as always with Razer Blades, getting it inside this laptop is incredibly easy. And this one is 10 T5 screws, and then the base plate just slides straight off. Now, sadly, you cannot upgrade the RAM because it is soldered on, but we do now have two separate M.2 slots for upgrading the SSDs. On the 2023 model, those SSDs were stacked, which led to quite hot SSD temperatures. We now have two separate M.2 slots, and both of them are double-sided. So you can put up to 16 terabytes with your two 8x SSDs in here. Now, I've tested with my 4TB Western Digital SN850X, which is one of my favourite drives, and I had no problems actually fitting it, and performance was great. We also have an upgradable Wi-Fi card, but as we have Wi-Fi 7 in this laptop, you're probably not going to be upgrading it anytime soon. And the rest of the internals is taken up with a very large battery and also a massive vapor chamber and 2-fan system to keep this laptop cool. So that takes us neatly to the performance section. So before we look at the benchmarks, I just want to mention that the Blade 16 comes with the new Synapse 4. Now, this has been a pleasant experience, and there's a number of new features this year, such as the built-in stats menu, manual fan curves, and CPU power limits. Now, sadly, in the custom mode with the Blade 16, you cannot max out both the CPU and the GPU. You need to choose one or the other. And lastly, all of my other Razer devices that I plugged into the Razer Blade 16 picked up fine in that new Synapse 4, so no teething troubles with the new Synapse. Now let's start looking at the new CPU benchmarks. Now, although the HX370 is not the fastest CPU out there, it is certainly efficient. Now, the HX370 contains 12 cores and 24 threads, and they're broken down into 4 Zen 5 cores and 8 Zen 5C cores. Now starting with Geekbench 6, and we get very strong single core performance, right up there with Intel's new 275HX. But sadly, the multi-core is a fair bit lower in Geekbench 6 and also in Cinebench R23. If you're looking for pure CPU multi-core performance, then the 275HX beats it easily, but at the expense of power. Now the HX370 is about 35% slower in Cinebench R23 than the Intel 275HX, but it uses exactly half the power than the Intel. Now in a desktop we have plenty of room for cooling, this isn't an issue, but for laptops, especially slim laptops like this one, efficiency is king, and the only way Razer could pull this new Razer Blade 16 off without throttling is to use the Ryzen. Moving over to the GPU performance, and again sacrifices have had to be made to create a slim laptop, and the 5090 maxes out at 160 watts. This leads to the blade scoring similar to a 4090 from previous years, or even a 175 watt 5080. We do get advanced Optimus mode, and we get a G-Sync enabled panel, so gaming on this Blade 16 is buttery smooth. I've run a number of games through the laptop itself, and I've really enjoyed the experience. The great news is, if you run it in silent mode, you still get playable performance at only about 45 decibels. Though when you move up to either the balanced or the performance mode, there was very little difference in the fan noise, both coming in about 52 decibels in gameplay. Surface temperatures are fantastic on the Blade 16 this year. I didn't get my scorched palms like I've had on previous Blades in the past. And also the internal temperatures remain pretty cool, though sadly I couldn't get the NVIDIA temperature to show for the 5090 due to a bug in their drivers at the moment. Thank you, NVIDIA. So overall, if you can get past the fact that this isn't the fastest gaming laptop out there, it is still a great gaming experience, and you're getting a very slim package to go with it. So with the performance section out of the way, I want to talk about the battery life. Now, this is something that is usually sort of overlooked on gaming laptops, with usually probably 4 to 5 hours of battery life just pretty much surfing the web. But with Razer moving this over to the AMD CPU, which although isn't the most powerful CPU in the world, is amazing for efficiency and battery life. Now, when I was streaming YouTube over Wi-Fi at 200 nits of brightness, I managed just over 10 hours of battery life on this Razer Blade 16. So you genuinely can take this gaming laptop away and get some work done in a coffee shop or a friend's house and not always worry about having to bring your charger along with you. And talking to the charger, it is pretty bulky, but it can also be used with USB-C PD charging up to 100 watts. Now I plugged this in to my 100 watts Dell Ultra Sharp display, which is what I use when I'm working. It's a 4K display. It also has my Ethernet and my mouse and keyboard all plugged into it. So with a one cable solution, I was able to not only use this all day via that PD solution, but I also didn't even get any battery drain. Now I ran some Time Spy and some Geekbench on that actual 100 watt PD, which gave me some pretty good scores. And I was expecting that battery to dip when I'm fully using the system. But you're talking about 50 watts on the GPU and only 15 watts on the CPU when you're in PD mode, which is more than enough with this efficient CPU in here. Now personally, I would plug this in my desk on that PD and work on it all day and never even think about using the charger. So then on to the conclusion, and having spent a couple of weeks now with this Razer Blade 16, I'm absolutely in love with it. Now don't get me wrong, these new 5000 series laptops are really expensive, and this Blade 16 is also very expensive, especially this 5090 model. And I don't think the 5090 is for everybody, especially as with the Razer Blade 16, they're prioritizing an everyday great solution over just pure performance. So if you're looking at the pure performance model, you may want to start looking at the Razer Blade 18 with that Intel CPU, which is more powerful at the expense of battery life and sort of like everyday portability. But just by giving up a couple of frames per second in games, you're getting a much better laptop experience with this Razer Blade 16. And this AMD CPU, although not quite as powerful as the new Intel 275HX, is just much more power efficient, leading to great battery life, as well as the ability to get a chassis as slim as this laptop. Combine that with the excellent battery and PD performance, meaning that I can plug this into my 100 watt PD monitor and work all day without having to grab that bulky power adapter, really make this a pleasant laptop for work as well as play. Another thing I didn't really mention either is that when I'm on PD for work or light use, the fans aren't ramping up like they were on my older Razer Blade 2023 with that hot Intel CPU. So this has just been a fantastic all-round laptop. And it feels like Razer has really designed this Razer Blade 16 to be a jack of all trade that's great for content creation, content consumption, and still gaming. Whereas the Blade 18 or a bulky alternative seem to make the performance the be-all and end-all, which is great if that's what you're looking for. But someone like myself, I would much rather have something I can easily use on the go. Also adding that beautiful OLED display, great speakers, keyboard and touchpad, it's just a really good all-round package. Now this model does start at $2,699 in the UK, which is actually pretty reasonable when you compare it to the alternatives and other 2025 gaming laptop releases. And I personally think that the 5070 Ti model could be the Goldilocks card this year for gamers out there that are still looking for great performance and wanting to save a little bit of money. So that's my review of the Razer Blade 16. Really have been impressed with it, but as always, I'd love to know what you guys think. Would you consider buying one of these, or would you rather go for the pure performance game laptops that are out there? Let me know in the comment section down below and I will get back to you. And as always, thank you for watching.